Greetings. I want to open the June 6, 2022 meeting. Call the meeting to order. Invocations. Commissioner Robinson, if you would lead us.
Merciful Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time, God. We even thank you for allowing us to come together to conduct the affairs of the town. Father, we ask that you bless every household that's represented here on tonight. God, let everything be done decent and in order. This is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
And Pro Tem Rose, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will make my comments brief because probably I'll be making more comments later on in the agenda. Mike Rose and I and Michael King and Hub already made a presentation to the county commissioners today for funding for the community center. And I think the presentation went very well. They were receptive with very positive questions, mostly dealing with housekeeping issues and who the building would be rented to, and the request was for $250,000 for a budget of about $2 million, and I feel very good about the meeting. There were other requests, and hopefully in another couple weeks, when they do the final budget, we'll get a favorable response. But if anybody else has any comments or thoughts before we move to the next part of the agenda. With that, is there a motion to adopt our agenda?
There is.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed. Motion was made by Commissioner Robinson, second by, who did the second? Michael Holmes. Okay. And is there a motion to adopt our consent agenda, which is our minutes from the previous meetings? There's been a motion made by Commissioner Robinson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Martin. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed. Motion passes. Next is our organizational meeting structure, and it is with great pride and some reluctance that we're here. Great pride and recognition of Marla Ashworth, who's retiring as our county administrator. From a reluctance point, I hate to see her go, but she's got opportunities, and she is going to be advising us on many issues in the future, and I'm so proud of her success. That's the way I want to keep it. And she's not changing her cell phone number, and I know where she lives. So if you would approach the podium, and I'll in honor of your service to the town of Princeton, presented Marla H. Ashworth. In honor and gratitude for your years of dedicated service that will have an impact on the community far beyond your service. And the dates are November 20th, 1997 through May 27, 2022. Peaceful, pleasant, progressive, and proud. It's time for your speech.
Thank you. You've had me give a few speeches already the last couple of weeks, but I have enjoyed all of my time with the town of Princeton. I've learned, I've grown. I was thinking about it the other day. I came here to work here. I was single. I've gotten married. I've had 3 kids. One of my kids is graduating from high school. I've got another one in high school and another one starting high school. So that's how long this is. It's almost, it's a lifetime. And I'm excited to try something new and use some of the skills I gained here to help other communities. But my heart will always be in Princeton. And we have a lot of projects still ongoing from my time here and some other projects to start. And so I'm going to be around a lot. So you won't miss me too much. Thank you.
Before April and Lee have a presentation as well.
Okay. On behalf of the town and the town board, we wanted to present you with a gift for appreciation. We didn't want you to go off representing, not looking good, so.
Thank you. Okay. Oh my. Oh, thank you. And I won't lose it. Thank you very much.
Still going back and forth. The next item is to accept the resignation of Michael King from the planning board. And there's a reason that Michael has resigned from the planning board. He is accepting the position as town administrator of Princeton. And his agreement is in our package. And now it's my honor to give him the oath of office.
Who would you like to hold?
Repeat after me. I, Michael King,
I, Michael King,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and that I will
and that I will
faithfully and bear true allegiance
faithfully and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to support,
to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
of the said state,
of the said state,
not inconsistent
not inconsistent
with the Constitution of the United States,
with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best
to the best
of my knowledge
of my knowledge
and ability.
and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Michael King,
I, Michael King,
do swear
do swear
that I will
that I will
well and truthfully
well and truthfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of Town
of
Administrator
Town Administrator
for the Town of
for
Princeton
the Town of Princeton
according to the best
according to the best
of my skill
of my skill
and ability,
and ability,
according to law,
according to law.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
get a picture with facing each other with the certificate, that would be great.
We get one more of you shaking.
And now it's time for you to address the town board or audience.
First of all, I want to thank Marla for having some faith in me to reach out to me to accept this challenge. I look forward to working with the board, the citizens. As a citizen of Princeton, my heart is here, and this is home. So my door's open 24/7. If anyone needs anything, please come see me. And Marla will be getting a lot of phone calls probably the next couple of weeks or months just for checking in and following up with her. But I look forward to the challenge and appreciate it.
And you have family here.
Dude, my wife's here, Jamie, and my son Jackson are here. So,
If I could get the copies he needs to sign. You got those?
And next, there is an oath of police lieutenant for Daniel Toole, and I will let the chief introduce you about reasons you're now the new lieutenant.
Good evening. This is my second time around actually making this presentation, but I wanted to say that I've seen Daniel Toole, Lieutenant Toole, I've seen him grow in law enforcement and as an officer, patrol officer, and in a supervisory capacity. You know, he's really shown me how he can lead, and that really caught my attention and caught my eye. He's been there for the guys. He stepped in when the former Lieutenant Raffle was here. He assisted him in quite a few ways and in a lot of areas that we really needed him. And so, it's my pleasure at this point to make a formal and official presentation for promotion of lieutenant. He's already been promoted, but this day I wanted to make it official in front of the public, family, and friends. And he's growing continuously. He's done some outstanding work, and he's definitely going to fit the shoes and fit the bill. We're all growing together, and there's always something that we can learn and collaborate and just, spin ideas off each other. So if you will stand, Lieutenant, and please accept this oath of office, and the mayor is going to administer it, please. He has his wife here and his son and daughter. All three kids. 2 daughters and 1 son.
I, Daniel Eugene Toole,
I, Daniel Eugene Toole,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support
I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States.
that I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true
and
allegiance
bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina,
and to the constitutional powers
to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are
which are
or may be established
or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof.
that I will endeavor
I will endeavor
to support,
to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of North Carolina,
the Constitution of North Carolina,
not inconsistent
not inconsistent
with the Constitution
with the Constitution
of the United
of the
States,
United States,
to the best of my knowledge,
best of my knowledge,
skill, and ability.
skill, and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Daniel Eugene Toole,
I, Daniel Eugene Toole,
do solemnly and sincerely affirm
do solemnly and sincerely affirm
that I will
that I will
well and truly
well and truly
execute
execute
the duties of police
the
lieutenant
duties of police lieutenant
for the town of
for
Princeton,
the town of Princeton,
according to the best
according to the best
of my knowledge,
of my knowledge,
skill, and ability.
skill, and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I need to get more with you.
You can sign both copies. Tyler fix this now. That is your original gift to that one. I believe the chief has a frame for you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, this is another face we're swearing in. I have, well, let me just give you a little backstory. You know, we've been down about 40%, and it's been a challenge for each and every law enforcement agency in the state to recruit, and in some cases, retain. It's not easy. And through a lot of hard work and effort, and, you know, people having conversations and discussions, and our former town administrator, and some other people, as well as myself, we were able to recruit two officers. One, Tyler Hicks, and Michael Jernigan. If you would stand up, please, and come forward. Tyler Hicks, he was one of our part-time employees. He worked for Pound Level and kind of switched his roles. Now he's part-time at Pound Level and he's full-time here. Tyler has a few years' experience, and I think he'll be well suitable, and he'll fit in real well with the town. And he's very impressionable, he's sociable, and I think he'll do very well. Michael Jernigan, he's formerly a officer with Smithfield PD. He has about 5 years' experience. He's also here with his family, and it was not easy selecting these two gentlemen because, you know, we try to be meticulous and we try to go through their backgrounds, and we want to make sure that we have the best officer that will fit the town's needs. And I think these two gentlemen will do just that. I'm very proud to present Tyler Hicks and Michael Jernigan, and I want to officially administer the oath to both of you. Mayor, if you step up, please.
We'll do it individually, so I'll do Tyler first. And you got Marla's always here one way or the other. Okay, all right. I, Tyler Alexander Hicks,
I, Tyler Alexander Hicks,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States.
that I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true
and
allegiance
bear true allegiance
to the state
to the state
of North Carolina
of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are
which are
or may be
or
established
may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to support,
to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of North Carolina,
the Constitution of North Carolina,
not inconsistent
not inconsistent
with the Constitution
with the Constitution
of the United
of
States,
the United States,
that I will alert
that I will alert
and diligent to enforce
and diligent to enforce
the criminal laws
the criminal laws
of this state,
of this state,
that I will not be influenced
that I will not be influenced
in any manner
in any manner
on account
on account
of personal bias
of personal bias
or prejudice,
or prejudice,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
execute
execute
the duties of my
the
office
duties of my office
as a law enforcement officer
as a law enforcement officer
according
according
to the best of my skill,
to the best of my skill,
abilities,
abilities,
and judgment.
and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Chief wants to get a picture.
Tell her if you can sign both of those. Who's already signed it?
I remember Michael.
Tyler. And the chief.
Mike, if you want to introduce your family,
This is my fiancee Sylvia and our babies Leslie, Jennifer, Juan, and Alex.
thank you for coming. I, Michael Allen Jernigan,
I, Michael Allen Jernigan,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States.
of the United States.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state
to the state
of North Carolina
of North Carolina
and the constitutional powers
and the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are or may be
which are or may be
established
established
for the government thereof.
for the government thereof,
And I will endeavor
and I will endeavor
to support,
to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of North Carolina,
the Constitution of North Carolina,
not inconsistent
not inconsistent
with the Constitution
with the Constitution
of the United States.
of the United States.
That I will be alert
That I will be alert
and diligent
and diligent
to enforce
to enforce
the criminal laws of this state,
the criminal laws of this state.
that I will not be influenced
That I will be not influenced
in any manner
in any manner
on account
on account
of personal bias
of personal bias
or prejudice.
or prejudice.
And I will be faithful,
And I will be faithful
impartially execute
and partially execute
the duties
the duties
of my office
of my office
as a law enforcement officer
as law enforcement officer
according
according
to the best
to the best
of my skill,
of my skill,
abilities, and judgment.
abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I would like to get a picture with all the officers, please.
Sign both. You need to take one copy and he has a frame. Okay.
I'll stand in the middle if you guys can just, one can stand on my side, and Jenny can stand on the other side.
May I make a suggestion? Sure. Do you want to be in the center, or was I gonna say you need to be on the end?
Okay, that might work better.
There you
But have the
go.
uniform.
There you go.
Thank you, boss.
Appreciate
One, two, three. One more. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Congratulations.
Nice to meet y'all.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And as I mentioned earlier, Michael King has resigned from the planning board, and we had an application go out for replacement. And Ashley Boyette has applied for that position. Her application's in front of you. And Ashley, would you like to address the town board at this point?
Sure. My husband and I moved back about a year ago. I'm not originally from Princeton, but he is, and I went to school at Princeton, and it's a very important place to me, and we're ready to be home permanently. And I'm a public servant at heart. It's not what I'm doing now, but my roots are in government, and I just have that, like government employees, I love to be involved. Just can't help it. So this is my opportunity. I'm familiar with working in government and planning, real estate. I mean, I've done it in a larger city, and so I'm just looking forward to being able to use that here at home.
Is there any questions? You've got a degree in planning, or?
I have my undergraduate degree from Wilmington in political science, and I have my MBA from the University of South Carolina.
We're welcome to have you back in the Princeton.
Yeah.
I think you graduated high school with.
Yes, with Logan.
With my son.
Mm-hmm.
And any comments or thoughts or?
I have a motion, Mr. Mayor. That I make a motion that we appoint this young lady to fill the vacant spot on the planning board.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Robinson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Well, we're here for action tonight, and so there is another oath.
Riley's with the baby, so I need someone to hold my Bible.
I, Ashley Boyette.
I, Ashley Boyette.
Right-handed.
Oh, thank you.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional
and
powers
authorities
and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution
uninconsistent with the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
and that I will
and that I will
well and truly execute
well and truly execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of member of the Town of Princeton
a member of the Town of Princeton
Planning Board
Planning Board
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and ability,
and ability,
according to law,
according to law,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And let's see, who's got the camera?
Yeah.
Well, I don't need a picture, but I'll sign it.
Yeah.
Picture. Oh,
Here you go.
let me get my good side now.
Hold on a minute.
Oh, this is awkward. Should I do it the other way?
Yes, okay. Thank you.
There's 2 copies, and the gray copy is actually yours.
Okay.
Thank you very much. The planning board is going to be very active, so
I'm ready.
and I think that's the last oath of office that I have tonight, unless there's something to sneak by. So I don't think that's ever occurred before. So. Persons to be heard. I know my wife Vicki has an announcement, and if you want to, I believe there is a. You may not have that was.
That's okay. I have it. I've come tonight to announce an event that is probably a first, well, it's probably the first in Princeton. It will take place June 18th, and we are honoring the non-graded school down on Center Street. And it is one of 2 left in Johnston County. And we are putting a historical marker out front. And the alumni, along with the state archives, has given the money for this to take place. This school is one of 2 still standing in Johnston County. The other one's Short Journey. We're one of few in the whole state. Back in 1925, the school was built, and Julius Rosenwald, which was a very wealthy individual, he was head of Sears Roebuck. He built over 5,000 black schools. And this is one of those schools that's still standing. One of very, very few. I don't know if there's, I could probably name 1 or 2 still remaining in the state. But we are in the process of having a celebration on June 18th from 10:30 until 2. We'd love for you guys and ladies to come. We are having refreshments. We're having a speaker. We're having a reenactment of Booker T. Washington, which was inspired by Rosenwald. And we're having all kinds of fun things going on, but we would love for you to come. It's a historical time for Princeton, but more than anything, it's the only historical marker we have in Princeton. So from this day forward, on Juneteenth, we are going to celebrate this every year. So we have a speaker from the Archives Department of the state of North Carolina that will be speaking. But we're hoping to get in the building, but the health department has not given us a go-ahead yet. It is the only one still standing that has auditorium with the old seats and the stage and such as that. So we invite you to come. We want Princeton to feel proud this day.
And I'm delighted at the invitation. I talked with the First Lady a couple of days ago about this. And as some of the board members may know, that I actually went to school in the 1st and 2nd grade at this school. So many members of my family went to this school, and some may not know, but they're slated to do. I think it's about $1 million restoration to this building is coming shortly.
Look forward to seeing you when it's going to be a fun day in Princeton.
We're gonna have singers too, and homemade ice cream, so you need to come.
Anyone else wishes to drink? Charlie?
Just a couple of things if I can, especially while the police chief's sitting here.
You want to come up?
If y'all have not noticed, it only took me 3 years and 7 people. There are speed limit signs on Goodall Park Road now. They were put up a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm asking for enforcement. If y'all are authorized and can, I will give my driveway, I will give my grandmother's driveway. y'all are welcome to use, but people have not slowed down on that road, and something needs to be done. They ride up and down that road way too fast. You got Jackie, you got Mr. Charles that lives down the street, you've got kids that come out of that neighborhood, and people drive way too fast coming up and down that road. And all I'm asking for now, I got the speed limit signs, I just asking for a little enforcement. And y'all are welcome to use my place, as long as you don't sling too many rocks out of the driveway leaving. You're welcome to park up there under my shelter, you're welcome to use my shop, but I'm offering that doing in my grandma's driveway right up this place, give you somewhere to sit. The ball field's a little too close to hadn't got up to speed, buddy, and by the time they hit my house, they're going, so you're welcome to use either one.
What's the time frame when this is occurring?
Most of the time it's in the evening, and when I say evening, it's like 5, 6.
Okay.
And especially on weekends that there are ball games,
Okay.
it is terrible. I mean, and it's just, somebody's gonna get hurt, and I don't want it to take that before something's done.
Mayor, do you think those flashing signs you have on each end of town that tells people what's?
Just that there's a new sign there or a new speed
Do you think
limit.
that would be possible
Yeah,
to move to New Ballpark Road temporarily? Just remind
The
people?
chief coordinates that sign, but I feel certain we can move it to New Bark Road.
I mean, nothing permanent, just so somebody knows that they're there now.
Yeah.
But they actually did put them, there's 2 on each part between stop signs on both directions going. It's just, I know right there, especially on the weekends, especially on Saturdays and ball games and stuff, people go crazy through there, so.
Yeah, we can get something out there.
But I appreciate it. And like I said, they're welcome to use my driveway, they're welcome to use grandma's driveway up there at the White House, they're welcome to use it to sit, and do. If they come to the house and they need something to drink, just let me know and I'll open the shop. There's always a fridge there. They can't have some of us in there. There's Gatorade and there's water and stuff.
I don't think you want that type of,
Not what y'all are doing, but other than that, that's it.
we'll show some credit.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. And my only next question, I'm not trying to stir up too big of worms, but when's the clean out on the other side of Hinton Road gonna happen? I've done my part. I've done over half of my part. There's more coming that y'all didn't ask for, but I'm just saying, a lot of it's been done, and I know it's been really dry, but it ain't gonna take but one time and it back up, and it's not gonna be a good day if I'm spending all this money and doing and nothing else
I'm
is
gonna
happening.
I'm gonna give you a memo to read, and it's part of our agenda later on in the, so if you wanna, it won't be too far down, but you can read that,
All right,
and we will be addressing that very shortly.
okay. Thank you, that's all sorry.
Anyone else to be heard? Report from the police chief. I feel like we've dominated the meeting so far,
Don't feel that way.
but congratulations on being fully staffed. That is a,
Well, thank you, but I must give all the credit to some of it is all. Well, no, I do appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. I don't have much I want to go over, just a few things. Of course, I have 2 officers in training, one of which you saw in here, Tyler Hicks, and they're in some report writing classes, which is online, which is very convenient. And then I have Officer Stocks, which he's taking some online classes as well. And then the next couple of months, Lieutenant, he'll be in first line supervision school. So those schools are very much needed, and just kind of playing catch up now to make sure these guys are trained and they're efficient and effective in their patrols. As many of you know, there's been an influx, actually an ongoing rise in active shooters. I won't get into too much, but just know that we have trained in the past for that, and we're going to be doing some future training. We hope that does not happen. And that's something that every department head and every agency really hate to see coming, but, you know, it's a reality. And, you know, we're gonna take every kind of precaution and utilize all our resources to make sure that we keep everyone safe and the community safe. But I just wanted to make mention of that because it has been on the news, and there was one in Wayne County, but it was first initiated as a active shooter, but it was actually domestic. With that being said, a lot of domestics that we do go on, we don't know what the result's gonna be when we get there. We're thinking, as in the past, it could be just a matter of being a mediator between two parties as having a disagreement. But it could turn verbal, and it could turn, fatal. So, we're very cautious when we approach these domestic violence. We've had a lot of citizens that want to call the police department versus call 911, and I've encouraged them to dial 911 because that keeps the officers safe. We need to know what we're embarking on before we arrive at this scene or this call, and we need to get all the information that we can get from our dispatcher prior to us getting there, so we don't step into a situation that could be harmful to any of us. So every time I come across a citizen, and I've said this time and time again, we just try to encourage them to call 911, and that way it's recorded and it's all on tape. Is there anything that, any questions anyone have? Okay, Kurt.
I have a quick question, Chief. A couple of weeks ago, I was notified that there was some form of a shooting here. Two gentlemen did a drive-by or something. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
It wasn't a drive-by. We had one individual, which the same individual we had in the past, that was in the apartments, Mr. Kenzak apartments, which I've since talked to Mr. Kenzak, and we couldn't prove it. There wasn't any cases from the firearm or anything, but we did a canvass and we had a conversation with the DA's office. But of course, when you start asking questions and you inquire, no one didn't see anything, no one heard anything, no one gave you a description. But I feel confident that we know who it is, and we've addressed that, and I think they moved out in the county. But I think most of our calls that stem from shots fired came from that individual. I'm pretty confident it has. And I actually talked to him myself, and I just informed him what the consequences would be, if we end up having to get search warrants and we get enough evidence to move forward. And we've already talked to the ADA about it. So, I can't say that we won't have any more ever, but I'm thinking that's going to be the root cause of it.
Now, was that the same, with that incident, I noticed that two of the officers had a car pulled over here on 70. They had two guys outside the car. Was that the same incident or a different incident?
That was a different incident. Okay. There wasn't any shot fired at that call, though.
Okay.
But it was a different incident.
Gotcha.
You want to address the officer's vest at this point? Sure. In the budget.
In the budget, there is, I was gonna wait until we got in the budget, but I'll go ahead and mention it now. Under capital outlay, there's $5,000. That $5,000 is for vests. In the past, we've spent about $500 or $600, maybe $750 for vests for the officers, and those vests have expired. Now, keep in mind, when vests expire, that means the manufacturer can no longer guarantee that it will stop a round. And I don't want to play Russian roulette or take chances with officers or myself. So when that warranty expires, then I can't guarantee, they can't guarantee. So the probability is fairly high that they could, that round could impact their major organs. So the level 3 vests is the one that we use. They have gone up a little bit in price. And unfortunately, everything's going up. I do have access to a grant through the legal municipality. In the past, when we have purchased vests, I've always applied for that particular grant. And what they normally do is the total price of all the vests that we have to purchase, they will send a check for half the money that the town has invested. So I'm fairly confident that, you know, on a $5,000 purchase that they will cover at least half of that. In the past, it's been a little bit lower because the vests have been a little cheaper, but you know, those days are almost gone at this point. And every officer, including myself, is definitely in need of one because they all have expired. So that is the reason for the $5,000 increase in the capital outlay line item.
So how soon are we looking at purchasing those?
As soon as we can get this budget approved, and you know, we can move forward, and I'll go ahead and order them. Of course, they have to get fitted. They're gonna have to go down and get fitted at Lawman's, and generally it takes probably about maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Could take sooner than that, but with the way things are now, hopefully it won't take as long.
On the activity log, I noticed the traffic stops seem to be up a lot this month.
Yes.
And so I was going to see if you would give us a little more information on that.
They are up because, you know, of course, traffic enforcement has increased because we have more manpower. Officer Jernigan and Officer Hicks, they both have started, so it actually increased since they have started. You've got a lot of officers, the officers that we did before, we were trying to maintain patrols, and at some point, you're not able to be as effective in traffic stops as you would like to be because you want to make sure you can cover the town and cover as much ground as you can. But in this aspect, since we have more officers on duty now, we're able to conduct more traffic stops. And that's why you see an increased number of traffic stops there.
Have you been able to see that it's been a deterrent to slow people down yet, or is it too early to say?
I want to say it's probably too early to say at this point. When the officers have to go to Princeton Church of God and they get on the highway, if there's a blatant infraction during the course of their travels from point A to point B, they will stop the vehicle. We don't ride on 70, but we do have to go from the asphalt company to the Highway 55 to Princeton Church of God, Eagles Crest. So during the course of that pattern that they're traveling, they do stop cars. Whether it be speeding, we have got some drugs off of the highway, Highway 70, so it's a little early to tell. I will say that since the officer's been out there, I mean, you know, cars have slowed down a little bit, but that's why they see those marked cars out there. You know, so we can't really say it's made a major impact, but we hope that it's helping a little bit. I don't want to speak too soon, but we haven't had a crash yet, so in a while. So I'm hoping that between Barton Street and Highway 70 and West Dr. Donnie Jones Boulevard, since they put those left turns and right turns only medians in there, I'm hoping that's really helped as well.
And if you want to, DOT is closing 2 more intersections. You want to address that?
Well, I know of the intersection, they added some asphalt for the one near Ormond's gas station. They've added some asphalt on both sides, and that's like the first process. Once they add that asphalt, then I think they brought some gravel in, I think, and then they'll come in once they get their measurements and the DOT gives the contractors to go ahead. They'll go ahead and start pouring the concrete for the center. And that's what they're doing on that end. So the next 2 intersections, I don't think it'll be long before they'll be closed, just like these are.
So is it the 2 that are right there by Ormond's?
If I'm not mistaken, is that correct, Mayor?
And the one at Old Rock Quarry Road is now left and right only.
Yes, yeah, that's complete. That's been finished for a little while now. So you got that one, and then you got, they're actually side by side. You have Barton and 70, then you have Dr. Donnie Jones Boulevard West and 70. And then you have the one down here at Ormond's. That's going to probably be the next one when they get to it. But I can't say that's helped quite a bit. because most people were just crossing over. I understand there might be some angry and frustrated motorists, but I'd rather have angry and frustrated motorists than to have fatalities and major injuries.
Yeah, I just know I gotta get up and make sure I'm ready for work early in the morning.
It's a setback for some people, it is. It's a setback. I've had some law enforcement leaders, I don't want to call any names, that live in the area that they were a little frustrated, but I'm sorry, I have to do what's best and keep everyone safe.
Can I ask a question? No, because since we're talking about traffic and stuff and doing,
Sure.
and it's out now, I think school's over now, isn't it? Okay. And I just noticed, which y'all know what I do, that coming off of Princeton Pikeville Road and crossing over, and you're coming right there to school. And got like 3 or 4 times one week just because of a project I was working. I noticed, and I just, because I guess coming that way, I'd never seen it before. The parking lot there at the grocery store fills up with parents waiting for kids to get off. School let out, and seriously, if I hadn't have seen a red ball cap, I mean, it was like the monkeys went east, the monkeys went west, and they just flooded across that street. Is there anything that just, I don't agree with the way schools go now. I mean, my mama would have never sat in line and picked me up from school or dropped me off. You walked or you got on the school bus. You know what I mean?
We actually addressed that because I spoke to Joe Carlisle, which is the owner of Piggly Wiggly, and yeah, there was a large number of cars over there, and the students were crossing over. But what we did was, there was one line that was going from Pine Street, well, Dr. Don H. Dillon Boulevard and Pine, near the gas station, and it would follow all the way down and curve into the actual PVA of the school. They just had one line. So I went out there with the school safety officer, and we came up with this plan to double stack the cars once they were able to get inside the parking lot. So they were only single lines. So now they're double stacked. So when they come off Pine Street and they turn in, we double stack, well, now they double stack right inside the PVA. So that eliminates that line of cars, which eliminates a lot of the cars over in the PVA of Piggly Wiggly, because a lot of them were going over there waiting because they couldn't get over there.
Right.
So I've rode by there several times, since we made that adjustment.
Crossing over, because the stop sign there,
Yes.
you're crossing over, well, you got cars coming out of the convenience store, you got them coming out of the grocery store, or coming out of the school, and then you got kids going everywhere.
Yeah.
That was kind of,
Yeah, it was very, very dangerous.
Shocking to me, that's all.
I didn't notice right before school, I'd say about a month ago, well, less than a month ago, I didn't notice too many cars parking over there. It's decreased quite a bit since we made an adjustment.
It was that 1 week, I had
Oh,
a
that
job
1 week,
I was
yeah.
doing through there, and I was like, man, is this like this every day? I mean, I just didn't realize that there was that much going on right there at the school, I guess, just at that time.
It was, because I had some complaints, and that, we had to address it. So I think probably we, resolved the issue since you probably came through there initially, but I think we have a hold on it now.
I don't want to be the one that hits something. I've been ran over by a car, and it ain't fun.
I can't say I understand, because I haven't been ran over, don't want to be, but thank you though. Hopefully we'll take care of that issue.
Thank you. And reports, Public Works.
Good evening. Hope everyone's doing all right. I do have 3 things. Last month, I made y'all aware that we had to carry a pump from our Comco pump station to the motor shop to get repaired. And told y'all I would have the cost at this meeting. The cost was $410 to repair that pump. Also this month, we've started checking water valves in town. We've checked probably half in town. We're going around cleaning the valve boxes out, pumping them out, putting the valve wrenches on them, making sure, just servicing them a little bit, and we'll paint the lids blue. So you'll probably see us around doing that. as soon as we finish that, we're gonna start checking manholes. Basically the same thing, going around inspecting manholes, checking manholes. And, we'll be painting green dots on them as well, so we know the ones we checked. Last Wednesday, we had a cylinder on the front of our backhoe, 4-in-1 bucket. The seals blew out. So our backhoe's been down since last Wednesday. If you see some debris out, large household items and big piles of limbs, it's because our backhoe is still down. I hope to have the cylinder, I was hoping to have it Friday, but the guy's having some trouble getting some parts for it, so he said we should have it this week.
Who's repairing?
Inline, in Smithfield. So, last I heard, I called him today, it should be ready this week sometime. He could give me a date, but he said this week, so. But other than that, that's all I have. If you have any questions or concerns. And I have had some, concerns about some potholes in town. We just have got an easy street Friday, so we're gonna be patching in this week as well. So.
How long does that last?
With Easy Street, it's pretty good stuff. And I mean, if it's a severe pothole, we'll cut it out. And when we go to patch our spots where we have to dig up the fixed water lines and stuff, we'll patch it back like that, cut it out, get a good seal on it. So, but as far as a regular pothole, it's called Easy Street. It's some high dogs. It's some good stuff. So. Right.
Just reminding you, obviously we need some rain, but not all of it at one time. But hurricane season has started, so hopefully the drainage downtown will be helpful. You wanna?
Y'all please pray for some rain, we need some bad.
You wanna stay for a couple more minutes? It shouldn't take long to get
That's
here.
fine, I mean, that's answered my question. I mean, I'm good, as long as we're still working on it, that's all I'm after. We still got a lot more work to do, but, I mean,
And, Ms. Boyd, do not feel obligated to stay in.
I watch these kind of videos on YouTube for fun, so I enjoy council meetings. I ain't lying.
Chad, I do have one question. You know if they fixed that drain in front of,
I haven't looked at it today, but when I rode by there last week, they had not. And that was, last Thursday. They hadn't done it yet. And, like I said, I hadn't went by today, but I hadn't really noticed anything different as far as.
I don't think they fixed it.
I don't think so either, because I haven't noticed anything different at their, lay down yard, you know, like anybody's been there or anything. And, so I don't think they have. But I'll call David tomorrow if,
Just so y'all are aware of what we're talking about, right in front of Sir's alterations, the new storm drain inlet they put in is 1.5 inches higher than the curb, the old existing curb. And what they did, they went in there and put in a 4-inch drain into it, but it's plastic. And it's right where the car's tire will sit right on it when they stop. So I went out there and met them out there and asked them to change it and put in a metal grate and just pour concrete around it, so it's something more substantial until the next phase that'll get removed. But I mean, it wasn't a very good temporary fix.
Yeah, and I can assure you that Stacy Renfro will keep us informed.
Yeah, I got a call at 7:30 the next morning.
and was that the one we met out there, or, yeah?
Yeah, I got a real good call over that.
I knew that they had decided, they had talked to CT and they had decided to do that, you know, but I wasn't aware of the plastic cap type deal. Which David was saying they weren't even gonna he didn't want to put a cap on it. Yeah, that was kind of something, you know, Jay Smith did, you know, to cover their tail. And yeah, I'm with you. The plastic, it ain't gonna, that would never work. Not in the dip where, like you said, a tire naturally falls, you know.
Yeah, that's an easy problem to address, just needs to be addressed.
Just may have to keep giving some phone calls, or so they may get very lax on
I
that.
need to check on it, I ain't seen no movement.
Okay, next item is the memo to review for adoption. It's a few little items dealing with Michael King's hiring, and one is a letter of resignation from Kenley, others addressing his cell phone reimbursement rather than providing a cell phone, and the other is addressing his vacation and retirement from working with local government. So it's pretty self-explanatory. And then a copy of his he has accepted employment but he's requesting these items. So if there's a motion to adopt the additional changes.
There is.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robinson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Thank you,
I
Michael.
need clarification on one thing. We did have it for the 20-year mark where he would go up. I need to know if you mean 20 years working for the town of Princeton or 20 years for government. So in 2.5 years, he would go up to the 1333 or the, because that wasn't spelled out. Because if you look at his scale, it is 0 to 20 for 10, then when you reach 20, it's 1333.
So typically, your time working with the government that you invest into your retirement system is pretty set. Transferring from a municipality can reset, or they can approve and adopt it. But I did go to Kenley. They accepted everything that I transferred from the county. So basically, the only thing this would affect would be years of service with the town. So instead of it being a 1 week employee, it would be quote unquote my vested time with government, and this is just for longevity that is paid out yearly.
So you'd be counting your employment with Johnston County, Kenley, and Princeton would be consecutive?
Correct.
Okay.
So that would be in 2.5 years. Yeah. I just wanted to get that straight because that just wasn't clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, next item on our agenda is a resolution to adopt the trust resolution for deposit account. And basically, it's to add the signatures for.
I needed to get Michael King as town administrator, and he signed, and because it was a resolution, we thought we needed to have it adopted. Everyone else is already on there. I'm just changing Mike as mayor pro tem. So, and then I've got their signature card. So anyway.
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution for signatures? Motion been made by Commissioner Martin. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And the next is discuss strap string debris removal allocation. And I will turn this over to Marla Ashworth, who started this and probably will finish it.
I'm doing my best. As you were made aware, the strap grant we applied for through the state was partially awarded. We actually asked for $652,370, and we were awarded $257,006. And we do have some questions because it's, in the award notice, it says to conduct vegetative debris removal activities, for this one section of the grant. But one of the most critical parts of the grant was some, bank restoration beside the wastewater treatment plant property. And so, after thinking about it a little bit, we have $105,000 left on the table from the $500,000 allocation Johnston County is willing to make to each municipality, because we've already received a pledge of $395,000 for the Pine Street Drainage Project. But I can't think of a better project to ask for that $105,000 to go with than this one, so that we can make sure we stabilize the bank. Because last I knew, we were only a couple of feet away from undermining the main power pole into the plant with the bank erosion. And this is a proposal to use the money in this way is due to the county by the end of June. And they would like to see a draft by June 15th in case they have any questions, to give us a chance to provide more information if necessary. But if you looked at the application that we sent to the state, it was pretty comprehensive. I think anybody could follow that, so we're probably just gonna turn that in with the request.
So you need either a motion or resolution from us to make application for the 105.
Right. Well, we need to make it for something.
Right.
And I'm recommending that you choose this something to make it for.
And it's still dealing with what we requested before. It's helping with flood mitigation.
If there's no further questions or that I'll offer you a motion.
But my only question will be, definitely, I've seen that place and it's bad, it needs fixing. Will 105 touch that section, or are we just saying, let's put it toward it? I mean, do we know a number, as far as?
No,
That's
because we're not 100% sure that we can't use the strap money for stream restoration, but it seems unlikely the way the award email is worded. So Luke with Drake Reagan actually had to call in to this office to clarify what they're looking for, because they've asked for a revised scope. But we still, we looked at from the railroad down the Beaver Dam Creek, past the plant, all the way out to Luby's Mills Road.
Yeah, Louis.
And so the further out you got, the less things there were to worry about. But from the railroad tracks to just past the treatment plant, it is the worst area. And so, and you also have ARP money. So if we do a little more analysis and get some answers, the next thing might be to allocate some of your ARP money to it. But this, I can't think of another project that's $105,000 would benefit as much as it would benefit cleaning
It
out
would
the
probably
creek.
be enough, Mike, right there where the fence is, but because it is in terrible shape, it's
Yeah.
actually undermined out from under its foot, so it's in dire need.
Okay, I do have a question. Since this is awarded by Soil and Water Conservation, but obviously it's funded by the General Assembly, are we going, and we're cleaning out a blue line ditch, do we have to have Army Corps engineers review of what we're doing, or?
No, because you can remove loose debris without a permit.
Good answer.
I haven't learned, that's what I've learned this year.
Okay. Just that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a big one.
Second.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? And for the record, Walter made the motion, and Mike seconded the motion.
You got the language down? You got the language down?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay. And now we're moving to the big topic of the night, and I know that Michael is being briefed on the budget, but I will turn it over to Mike, and then he and Marla will go over the budget. So if Marla wants to take the lead, or
I'll let you, you want to go through?
Well, you received a new payroll summary because it changed just a little bit. The chief's request for part-time hours was a couple of hundred hours less.
Did we get some new paperwork?
You got this and this,
oh, wait, okay.
No, but
but the mayor stole it from me.
cause that's why I said I didn't know about it.
So on the big sheet for payroll, the reason I printed another one for you is the chief's request for part-time hours went down a couple of hundred hours, which took a few $100s out of the budget. And so these are the new payroll numbers, and I have entered them into the big budget package in front of you. After talking with the chief, listening to the chief talk earlier, I realized that I failed on page 2 of this budget to record the vest grant that he very plainly told me that he was going to get when he bought this new vest. So there's $2,500 additional dollars for the revenue page 10-379-0200 on page 2. If you remember, at the last meeting, the fund balance appropriated was to balance the budget was $82,945. I have reduced that to 50, and now there's about $14,000 in contingency. And this is what I need to talk to you about. Inflation and gas prices are making it hard to balance the budget without additional fee and or tax increases. So my question to you is, do you want to reappropriate funds that you have saved over the last couple of years? It was around $140,000 last year, and it's estimated about $100,000 this year. Do you want to reappropriate that $50,000 that you may or may not use to have a balanced budget, or do you want to look at tax and or fee increases? At the last meeting, we talked about raising the garbage fee $1. That would essentially just offset the increase in fuel costs, because fuel costs for the garbage truck and the dump truck and the backhoe have doubled. And that $1 will cover the majority of that cost. But after our meeting, we received a notice that the county landfill is going to go up $4 per ton on the tipping fee this coming year. So it's going to go from $40 to $44 per ton, which actually would require another 60 cents on the trash fee. And so, in my mind, because that tipping fee is probably not going to come down, your $1 just became tipping fee money, and you still have gas issues. So, do you want to use some savings to offset gas in the hopes that it'll go down over the next year? Do you want to look at additional fee increases, or you want to talk about tax increases? And I felt like the appropriation was the best way to get it. And also you can use ARPA funds, because we claimed all of our ARPA funds as lost revenue from the pandemic. And so we have leeway in how they are spent, and they can be appropriated for general services. But I mean, that would be my last choice, well, maybe my second choice. Appropriating from fund balance is my first choice, because that's why I went with it in this paperwork. Appropriating ARPA funds would be second choice. Third would be taxes and or fee increases.
well, I would, for the trash collection, I would go up another percentage on trash collection, because the revenue is, needs to be, the expense needs to be offset by revenue. But I would concur with you on all the other.
I was about to say the same thing. In years past, it has always been our goal, and one of the things that we preached is that that the service that we offer, that it should pay for itself. And so I'm with the mayor on that also.
Is it, are you saying another 60 cent would over the, so if we went up $1.60, is that what would cover everything?
Yes.
But the dollar that you're looking at us raising is just due to fuel increases.
Well, I suggested a dollar because of fuel. It would take about 80 cents of that dollar to cover the fuel, that if prices stabilize at where they're at.
Well, I would rather see us pull it out of the fund balance, because then if fuel prices go down, we hadn't heard anything, but I can assure you, if we ever go up on the rate and the fuel prices drop, we're not gonna give it back.
Well, for sure you need to go up the dollar, because I don't think tip fees is going to come back down.
The other option that, I mean, a lot of businesses have, but I don't know if this is possible, but to have like fuel surcharge, that way it is something that could drop if fuel stabilizes. Is that a possibility, or is that not a good idea?
I don't know if you can call it a surcharge or not. I mean, I've just never thought about it that way. But you can, if you want to add it to the fee, and gas prices come down, you're not married to that fee for the entire 12 months of the budget. You can change it at any time. So if gas prices come down 3 months from now, you can take away whatever you can afford to take away.
I would rather see something like that.
Yeah, because we can actually, whatever we charge, that we don't necessarily have to have say we have a fee. Because the board has the ability to either lower or raise it without having to go through all the rigmarole. But going back to what we originally said, that we need to get into the habit of whatever service that we provide, that the fees we charge should pay for that service.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with that. It's like you're saying, they're gonna be $4 a ton on Dudley. They're not gonna go down. Once they go up on that,
Oh, yeah,
it's
I
done.
think the dollar is there to stay.
Right,
It's
but-
the 60 cent that you might could eliminate.
Right, but, we're looking at raising it to offset the fuel cost. I think that should be something that can be fluctuated, whether it's a surcharge or whatever. So in a year from now, if gas prices drop $2 a gallon, which they probably won't, but if they do, we're not married to a figure that people are having to pay for the next however, and it's not justified.
Well, fees are better than taxes because they can be amended throughout the year, up or down as needed.
Yes.
I think I'm more along that line of possibly doing something, like you said, not necessarily named it a surcharge, but, something along that line that later on we can come back and change.
Well, he is correct. That's the way most of the dumpster services are doing it. You look at your bill, they put in a surcharge in it for fuel cost.
Based on our budget of last year, not budget, but our audit for 2021, our fund balance percentage was at 40, were we close to 40%?
We were close, not quite at 40, but very close to it.
And our ultimate goal is 50, but we jumped about 10 points in 1 year.
We jumped a lot. I can't remember off the top of my head what the points are, but we went from barely not getting a letter to being well on our way to meeting our next goal, which is 50%. And the ultimate goal is 61, because that's what our peers average.
That's fantastic, but we may never reach that goal. But that is a goal, but we were a long ways from. We were down to about 13% at one point after the Great Recession. So we've come a long ways. And this comment is not for this week or for July 1st, but when we finalize the budget for the community building, where the revenue is gonna be coming from, I would hope that we have some money in our general fund that we can allocate towards some community building. But, and I would approach the amount of 50 to 100,000 that we can contribute to the community building. But we're not at that stage yet until we know how till we get hopefully some funding from the county and from other donations and where we are with USDA rural development. So that's just my thought in going forward.
And also don't forget that you have $25,000 reserved for the sale of the old rescue building for some type of downtown improvement, which community building would definitely qualify if you wanted to use that money for that.
That being said, we just went up last year on property tax, basically working with the fire department. So it actually did not go to town revenue, but it went to fire tax equivalent. And which is roughly a 10% increase or 8% or equivalent.
The 5 cent we went up last year. It's 8.9.
Okay. I'd like to refrain from that conversation for at least another year. I don't know what other people's opinion is, but that's mine.
I mean, I would agree to that. I mean, people, we're getting hit, everyone, us included, citizens are all getting hit with astronomical prices at the pump and at the grocery store and everywhere we turn around. And we do have a responsibility to run a tight ship and make sure everything's paid for. But if there's any possible way that we could make the budget work and not have another tax increase, I would be all for that.
And the way to do that is through the appropriation. And then you'll know, you'll know by this time next year if things are gonna come down, if they're gonna keep going up, and then you probably wouldn't have as much choice as you have right now. And again, if you didn't want to appropriate money that you've saved over the years, you can also appropriate enough ARPA money to make sure that the budget's balanced and well-funded. And there's nothing that says that you can't change your mind doing a fund balance appropriation now. If it looks like you're actually gonna have to use it, you can bring in some ARPA money rather than use your savings. It's not often you have so many choices.
Yeah.
So I'll recalculate the garbage revenue with 60 cents and reduce the fund balance appropriation by that makes, there's not gonna be a whole lot.
There's about 2,500 that will reduce it for the grant test, right?
Well, I only had like $12,000 in contingency, so I added the 2,500 to the contingency to make it 14, but
Okay.
Whatever level of contingency you're comfortable with will determine what the actual fund balance appropriated is. And again, contingency is the money you don't intend to spend, it's just there waiting for you to spend it. It's the first money you would spend. That's not budgeted elsewhere.
Okay. From our meeting on May 18th, has there been any other line items in each of the categories that's changed?
There are some line items that have changed, but nothing significant, just adjustments for fuel price increases and reductions where historically the amount of money needed to be different. To the tune of $35,000. But as you go through and look at it, the requested column of what you were presented last meeting and the recommended column was put together for this meeting, so. And a good example to look at is on page 9. The chief went through his budget with a fine-tooth comb and added in some places and took away in some places, and his budget went down about $21,000 overall.
But it was primarily part-time.
But it was some part-time and
It was a
vehicle maintenance reduction, a little bit of fuel increase, but the vehicle maintenance reduction was more than the fuel increase. You can go ahead. You
No.
did it. I just used your numbers.
Now, we're getting too technical now, right?
I would love to be looking at the same thing as y'all, but since I can't, bye y'all.
See,
Like Mom mentioned, it was a combination. It wasn't, mainly part-time. It was, just, the maintenance actually went down a little bit because we saw that we didn't spend as much money in repairs. I didn't want to cut too much off because we still have a vehicle that's up for replacement next year. So with that being said, we haven't incurred a large amount of money in repairs, but I wanted to leave enough there just in case we thought having some issues. So between the repairs and maintenance and part-time, we were able to shave some of that.
Unfortunately, the streets and sanitation department went up a little bit, mainly because of the fuel analysis. I would say everything else is pretty much the same other than the salary from last year. And then the difference from last meeting to this meeting is we actually got into the nitty gritty on the salaries. And if you see garbage truck upkeep, our current budget is $8,000 and the recommended budget is $17,000. That's fuel.
Why did cell phones go up?
Because we did not increase it last year and we got another employee. Those are the most significant changes I can see. We're going through, I went over about a 2-week period. Some of them I didn't remember right away.
Page 17. No changes in expenditures.
Those are special appropriations. So they're at the same level they've been at for several years.
Okay.
And then if you flip to page 18, if you want to make the correction that I made and add the $2,500 vest grant, it's $14,702.
This is 14,000 what?
702.
Thanks.
And I did make a few small adjustments in the water and sewer fund, in the 720 department, also because of fuel. But the totals are still the same because, the excess funds for, the water and sewer department, instead of showing a contingency, showed capital reserve. And so the capital reserve amount was just reduced. The amount, the other line items were increased to make sure there's enough money to pay fuel for those vehicles in the water and sewer department.
Offhand, do you think our capital reserve is built up to over the years?
Not off the top of my head. Because we have some money reserved just for sewer through sewer, capacity fees. We have a little bit of water capacity money on hand, but we've been using that almost annually to purchase additional capacity from Johnson County. And then our regular savings, I just cannot tell you off the top of my head. But I'll get those numbers for the, budget public hearing next week.
Okay. Chad, do you foresee any capital needs for next year that is not in this year's budget?
I know me and Michael were talking, last week, I believe. We got one truck that's getting today. Matter of fact, this broke down right now, our 250. And, just we're putting right much money in it for upkeep, service truck. And I would still like to, I know the budget's tight and everything, but as soon as possible, get on the, knuckle boom truck, because that would be helping us right now.
That is, what kind of truck?
A knuckle boom truck with the,
Pickup.
yeah, so we could be using that right now, that the back goes down. It would save our backhoe tremendously, 'cause it's on the road.
Does the town have one?
No, sir.
Okay, that's how all truck too. So, if they can remind me of the price again.
It was, I can't think of it right off the top of my head. I got the paperwork at the shop. The guy brought one and showed it to us. They had a good deal on a used one, but, another, small town swooped it right up. But it's like 130.
Does the town level have?
No, sir. But they have talked about getting one.
Maybe it could be a shared, truck.
Because they, matter of fact, last time I talked to Ray, I think this year they got a, crane truck to pull pumps at their stations. But it was between that and a knuckle boom. So, but it, like I said, it would save wear and tear on the backhoe. And in this particular situation, we'd still be rolling right along. And the tires on the backhoe, man, the front tires we have to pretty much replace every year. And every other year, we have to replace the back tires, as it is now.
Why do you think that is?
It's on the road 24/7, pretty much, the backhoe. And them tires really just, they ain't made for asphalt, you know. But
Marla, if we had to take the 50,000 out of additional tax revenue, are we looking at a 5-cent increase or?
A penny can net you about $10,000.
Well, as everyone knows, a big part of this year's budget was salary increases. And because our employees are worth it. Is there any more questions? I mean, we're gonna be passing this budget next week.
We have to hold a hearing anyway. You can have another meeting to pass it if you want to.
I prefer not.
When is that meeting?
14,
13th, next Monday.
so it's Monday.
Next Monday.
What time?
Should be at 7.
Any other questions, suggestions, requests?
So what we're looking at right now, if we do $1.60 on the water sewer bill, everything else can hold pretty much steady, that's what we're thinking.
You'll still have fund balance appropriated.
Right.
It'll be a little bit less.
It would not be on the water and sewer, it would be on trash pickup.
Oh, yeah.
He meant utility bill.
Yeah.
Offhand, you what that additional revenue is?
I think it's gonna be about $4,500 to $4,800. I can get all these changes made over the next couple of days and then email everybody updated information.
And not to use this as a guesstimate, but what do you forecast in additional property tax revenue for next year's cycle?
I have to email you my spreadsheet, I don't remember off the top of my head. It wasn't as much as this year, but it was, a good little amount. It was more than the regular growth of 2 or 3%. And it was, contingent on, J&N recording their lots before the end of the year.
Okay. And traditionally, when you have property tax increases, you'll have sales tax increases. There's more.
More people. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention. I can't remember if April had an agenda or not. But when we meet next Monday, we also need to consider some capital project ordinances, because we have grant funds that have come in for specific projects that haven't had capital project funds set up yet. And we need to get those funds set up to get that money out of the general fund so that on June 30th, it doesn't look like you made $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 for the budget year. They need to be put in their individual baskets. If we could put that on the agenda for next meeting.
You got a list of the projects?
Sure.
Okay. While you have the floor, any progress been made on the USDA applications?
I talked to Judy Hunt, and she is still waiting on the Office of General Counsel to release the paperwork to the state office so that they can authorize us to bid on the water and sewer project. There's nothing we can do, nothing she can do. It's in that office's hands, and we don't know why it's not done yet. And on the search grant, that is being processed by a new person because Judy Hunt is retiring in August and they're training someone new and she is processing our search grant application.
The first thing you were talking about is the sewer plant upgrades that we've
Yes.
been working on for like 5 years.
Yes.
Should a call be made to Bob Etheridge?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay.
Any further questions on our budget? It could be a worse situation, but, okay. On other business, I failed to mention earlier, Michael Holmes and Michael King and I met with Ted Godwin and Vicki Braswell, and we had a meeting with a huge amount of DOT officials last week. Not last week, week before, and also with the city of Kinston and Lenore County about the Princeton and Kenley US 70 I-42 upgrades. And Eric Boyette, Secretary, Department of Transportation, was with us, which is a big deal to have the top leadership in DOT. And funding is not there for both projects, but they are looking for funding. I'm optimistic that the project has top-level support, but there is still not dedicated funds. Kinston, their route still needs some environmental work. Their route will probably be a quarter of a mile south of the current 70 highway. But our project is shovel ready. It just needs to have land acquisition and going out to bid. They're the two things that are holding it up. And funds. Michael, you have any thoughts?
About the same thing. I mean, most everybody in there was on board with it. It's just simple fact. There's just there's no funding for it. And from what we were told, until they get all the funds, they can't do anything. So, because it was questioned about breaking it out into phases, and they're not. Something that has happened in the past with other road projects that got phased and then they got started and stopped and never completed. They have changed the rule now and they won't allow that. You have to have all the funds or you don't start anything.
Michael, did you have any?
No, I think what Mike said pretty much summed it up. Gotta get the money in. I have an email in to John Bill. I have not heard back, and I didn't see him at church Sunday. Usually he sits right in front of us, and I can tap him on the shoulder, but he wasn't there.
He knew you were coming.
He probably did. He probably saw my email because I said I'd schedule a meeting with him.
He sat on the other side. You didn't see him.
He probably did. Usually he's right in front of us, but yeah, I'm waiting to hear back on that.
Well, as Secretary Boyette said, that our needs are, there are people in all parts of North Carolina that have, I won't say the same needs, but similar needs. And although he lives 8 miles from here, he represents the whole state.
I did want to mention that I got a call this week from the post office here in town, and I got an email in to Tyrus. They put a parking spot in front of the mailbox drop-off, and so some of the citizens are complaining now that they can't pull in to drop their mail. It's been converted to a parking spot, and I believe they're going to try to fix it. If not, Chad said his guys can go out there and restripe it or exit off, well, whatever needs to be done for that. Also, you and I spoke about meeting with, or talking with Donna Taylor with the county, and we had $37,000 in tourism money left. I think Marla had already reached into about 13 of that for the engineering drawings and all for the community center. So that 37 is still there. We just have to reapply to get that. And then Adrian O'Neill with the county open space and parks and rec. We got a meeting Thursday at 2 with Don and myself to see what he can do about getting us some funds.
And then we have a meeting next week with James Sappin to explore some other grant money for US 70. Just as he's with the Upper Coastal Plain RPO. We're just fishing. But sometimes when you fish,
Sometimes you get lucky.
that's it, unless there's somebody else that's
I
got.
just want to make sure you mark your calendars that it is next Monday night, the 13th, that we have the meeting. That we will be closed June 20th. And I also put in your packet that little free library. I think they did an excellent job on that. That was really good, but I put that in there for you.
I actually had her move that to the other side. She put it on the back side, and there's no shelter over it. It rains, sweating, so they moved it around for the picnic tables.
Is our July 4th meeting moved to the 11th?
Should be.
It's on the 11th, okay. Our July 4th meeting will be on the 11th. Is that what everybody said?
Holiday.
Please,
We'll be for me, because I'm a week.
Okay, yeah. I'm hoping so, because I don't.
Yeah, please put on your calendar to be at Princeton Graded School. Sometime we'll do 18th.
I did want to make one mention, there's been some references to the drainage project. There actually is a meeting with the engineers and contractors this Thursday morning at 9 o'clock to walk through and get all the last details straightened out.
Then they on Pine Street. Then we come out on Pine Street.
I mean, the whole drainage project.
We can bring that up, we'll bring that parking spot up too.
What time is
I hate to get in trouble with the police
And
department.
Appreciate that.
What time is the graded school thing?
10:32.
There's food provided and entertainment. I did.
You know who the speaker's gonna be?
It is a noted a noted Booker T. Washington author.
Okay.
I can find out, but I don't know if there's.
And what was she, waiting on inspections before we get in the building, is it okay?
The building, there's some construction issues at this point with the building. It's boarded up. The building is pretty stable for the lack of attention it's had. But it's not in, as you know, needs a lot of work.
They actually had something in the auditorium. They got the auditorium as good as.
Yeah, it still looks good.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
That church was in there at one point in time.
Well, no, I mean that was a long time ago. But they have had a few events in the auditorium section, because that's the best section of the school. If there's nothing else, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that we adjourn.
I welcome that motion. All in favor, raise your right
Because
hand.
I've held on as long as I can hold. All in favor, stand up.